A Canadian warship, HMCS Ottawa, sailed through the Taiwan Strait. Taiwan's defense ministry said the ship had sailed in a northerly direction, adding that Taiwanese forces are monitoring the vessel. While Taiwan welcomed the sailing, Chinese military condemned the move and said that it undermines peace in the sensitive waterway. The People's Liberation Army also deployed naval and air assets to monitor and track the vessel's movements. This comes a few days after US Navy ships made a similar mission in Taiwanese waters. Meanwhile, the Russian Navy's landing ship conducted artillery firing drills in the Sea of Japan. A Russian news agency reported that the exercises were carried out as part of the planned combat training activities of the Russian Pacific Fleet. Japan has not yet responded to the Russian Navy drills. For more on this discussion, we are joined by Ross Feingold, political risk analyst located in Taiwan, and also Andrea Lucidi, war reporter located in Russia. Ross Feingold, I wanted to come to you first on this question. I was wondering, given China's condemnation of the Western naval vessel in the Taiwan Strait, does the US see these missions as essential for regional security, or are they unnecessarily provocative, would you say?
Well, certainly the United States and its allies don't view this as provocative at all. They view it as something that's permitted under international law. In addition, it shows continued support for peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait, which is something that these countries, the United States, Canada, UK, France, which also periodically sail through the Taiwan Strait, peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait is or support for peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait is the official policy of all of these countries. So these are going to continue, and every time that it occurs, China will complain, and the complaints will come from official spokespersons of different Chinese government agencies, including the military. But those complaints are not going to stop the United States, Canada, the UK, France, and potentially other countries from sailing through the Taiwan Strait periodically. Really, what's the thing to watch here is, now that we have a new president and a new administration in the United States, going forward, how often will the US Navy do this, as well as other allied navies?
Andrea Lucidi, does Russia view Western naval operations in the Taiwan Strait as a provocation against China, and should Moscow take a stronger support of Beijing, do you think?
At this moment, the attention of the Russian Federation for the Pacific scenario is not very high, but of course, any American naval activity or any military activity in the Pacific zone from the US can be observed by Moscow, or at least with suspect. But now, from Moscow, in my perspective, I can tell you that maybe the new presidential administration in Washington can give to Moscow more trust. For Moscow can be easy have more trust in the US now, because they appear at least more available for a dialogue between Russia and Washington. For this reason, I think we cannot expect any hard declaration from Moscow about this US activity in the Pacific zone.
Yes. Ross Feingold, as Russia conducts military drills in the Sea of Japan, is there concern that Moscow and Beijing are coordinating something to challenge the US's influence in the Indo-Pacific?
It's a great concern to the United States, as well as its allies in the region, such as South Korea, Japan, and the Philippines. It's obviously, it's not going to be something that the United States welcomes or wants to see, but the reality is also obvious at the same time, and that's that China and Russia have grown closer in recent years, including in the military space, and including things like joint exercises. Even if this exercise happened to be a unilateral Russian exercise, but the possibility of joint exercises again between China and Russia, which have happened with increasing frequency in recent years, that's going to happen again in the coming months. And then it will be up to the Trump administration and allied countries to determine how to respond, probably with additional high-profile sailings or air passage by military assets of the United States. So ultimately, we're probably going to see increased military activity in the Pacific in the coming months.
Andrea Lucidi, staying on these Russian military drills in the Sea of Japan, how do these exercises fit into Russia's broader strategy in the Indo-Pacific? And should Japan see Russia as a threat?
The Japan is a very close ally to the US, and in this moment, Russia and North Korea are very close relationship. For this reason, maybe this Russian naval activity in the Pacific region, in the Sea of Japan, would be a message for Japan for say, look, we are not very active here, but we are existing also here, and our fleet in the Pacific is existing. So we are ready to defend our interests in this zone. But of course, we need to think also about the situation in China, between China and Taiwan, because it's a very complicated situation at the diplomatic stage, because the US, Russia, and practically all the Security Council of the United Nations agree with the One China policy. So officially, they don't recognize Taiwan as a state, but practically all nations have a relationship with Taiwan as a state. And of course, for Japan, it's crucial to have good relations with Taiwan. And if this relationship will be dangerous for China, or if China will be not satisfied about this, can be a problem for North Korea, for Russia, because China is a strategic partner for both, for Russia and for North Korea. So, in my opinion, the Russian Federation with this naval activity will to send a message to the allied of the US and say we existing and we will protect our interests in this zone.
Yes. We will now move on to a different story.